Be strong.
Hi and welcome to Tech Tutorials. Today let's look at Adobe Illustrator Basics, Path, and the Pen tool. So what will we be doing today? We're going to start with reviewing what a path is in Illustrator. We'll go over the basics of the pen tool and how to use the selection tools. Now, it's really important to remember the only way you're going to master this tool is by actually practicing it. So let's start with talking about what paths are. So a path is made up of a series of points called anchor points, as you can see pointed by the red arrow. And line segments are between these points, as with the other red arrow. The anchor points on either end of the path have control handles, and these can be used to control the direction of the curved path if you decide to make a path curved. All artwork in Adobe Illustrator, which is vector-based, is made up of paths. And you can consider this the skeleton because it is the line segments of which the overall structure of what you create is developed. You can think of anchor points as the joints that hold the structure together. Any object in Illustrator is created with paths. So there's a difference between open paths and closed paths. So any shape that you draw that is a closed path means that it's joined with another path. This is different from something such as the line, arc tool, or spiral tool, or if you create an object and you don't close the path. These are open paths, which means there is one point that is not connected to something else. Open and closed paths. In more detail, with a closed path, when you have the fill and stroke, the fill will actually fill in the object evenly. Whereas with an open path, it does not fill in evenly because there is no close to the object. Now, this is where the pen tool comes in. This is the pen tool in Adobe Illustrator. With the pen tool, you can draw curves, lines, open paths, closed paths, you can manually trace, scan images, etc. The pen tool icon is actually based off of the shape of a fountain pen nib. And within the pen tool, there's actually several different options. So how do I use it? You select the pen tool and click to set an anchor point, then click somewhere else to set the next anchor point. You go back to the beginning anchor point of your path and you will see a circle which will let you close your path. It can be closed, but it doesn't have to be closed. Let's look at the pen tool and see how it actually works. So when I want to set an anchor point, I just select the pen tool, I click on the artboard, and then I can set that anchor point. And then I can continue on setting my different anchor points as much as or a little as I want. Again, if I hold down Shift modifier key, you can see how it kind of locks me into specific angles. And then I can keep moving. Right now, this is an open path. It's not closed. But if I go back to the beginning, you'll see I get this little circle. And this means this is where I can be closing the anchor path. So how do I use it? If you click and hold down, you can set an anchor point, and you will then get the control handles as you see right here. Think of it as opposites. Pull up to make the curve go down, pull down to make the curve go up. If you make another anchor point, the line will be curved. Reset your anchor point for a straight line by clicking on the anchor point before you create your next point. Now, if I specifically want to look at using the pen tool and creating curves, remember what I said, I can click and drag to set the initial curve of the path, and then I can click and drag on the next one in the opposite direction to create an S curve. I can be clicking and dragging. Notice now the curve is still sort of set. If I click back on the anchor that I just finished, you'll notice there's like sort of a V. That means I can reset this to a line, and it's no longer a curve. And so that's pretty handy so that I can actually have curves, and then I can have a straight line again. So the pen tool has also different pen tool options. There's the plus anchor point, the delete anchor point, the anchor point tool, which converts curves to points and points to curves, which is pretty handy. So if I click on the anchor point tool, I can then go to an anchor point and convert it from either a curve to back to straight lines or from straight lines back to a curve. So why is this important? In many ways, the pen tool is the most important tool in Illustrator. When I'm teaching this to students, this is one of the fundamentals that they need to know in order to successfully use this application. It is used to create the anchor points that form the basis for designs created in Illustrator, and to connect lines to those points that will create the curves and shapes that are the building blocks of Illustrator. Understanding how to use the pen tool and how to manipulate paths and anchor points will give you the creative flexibility you will need in order to level up your Adobe Illustrator use. So which one is better, on the left or on the right? On the left, we see a heart that has many, many anchor points. On the right, we don't have that many. So remember, if you use too many points, you're going to get a really janky trace. For a smoother trace, use fewer points. Be judicious with your use of anchor points. Now let's finish up by talking about the selection tool. Selection tool and the direct selection tool. So the V, which is the quick select for the selection tool, is used for moving or selecting entire objects or paths. This is different than if you use the quick select of A, the direct selection tool. This is used for modifying the anchor point and control handles of an object. So when using the direct selection tool to modify anchor points, you can select a specific anchor point with the direct selection tool to modify it. Use Shift to select more than one anchor point, and here you can see I can be moving around my anchor points. And I can be moving around multiple anchor points. Now, if you want to practice and actually not practice in Illustrator, there's this great site called bezier.method.ac that allows you to practice using the pen tool. I also have several videos on my channel that go over more in depth the path and pen tool in Illustrator. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please like and subscribe for more. If you have a request for a specific tutorial, just add it in the comments below.